Welcome back to the Salvation Army's Words of Life. I'm so excited for this new series because it's all about fatherhood, and we've got 3 great guests, men that I would call friend, men that I wish you all could know. But this is how we're going to introduce them to you. They're sitting around this microphone, this table with me, and we want to know a little bit more about you. So tell us who you are and what you do for the Salvation Army.
Well, I'm Captain Joshua Keaton. We currently serve alongside of my wife and our 2 boys in Henderson, North Carolina. But soon we will be making our move to ALM as the new Divisional Youth Secretary. So
the great Alabama, Louisiana, and Mississippi Division.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah.
How about you, sir?
My name is Major Patrick Richmond. Alongside my wife, Carrie, we are stationed at the Evangeline Booth College. We hold the responsibility as the directors of personnel, and we have 2 awesome kids, Philip, who is currently in University of Louisville, and our daughter, who will be graduating high school in the next couple weeks.
Wow, That is amazing. And the college is our seminary for officers. We send, whenever a Salvation Army soldier feels that God has called them to officership, they get to go to a school for 2 years and then come out as ordained ministers and officers in the Salvation Army. That's pretty cool. How about you, sir?
I'm Major Todd Hawks, and my wife Bethany and I have the privilege to serve as the Community Relations and Development Secretaries for the USA Southern Territory. And we have 3 children, 2 boys and 1 daughter, and we look forward to talking more about them.
You have 2 brawny boys and 1 beautiful daughter. That's great. Our Community Relations and Development, just in case someone doesn't know it's out there, you are primarily responsible for all of the fundraising and all of the public interfacing that we do for the Southeast. Is that true?
Yeah, all over the Southeast, Corps officers in various communities, we liaison, coordinate, and try to come alongside in their efforts. But it's a great ministry.
Absolutely. Now we're talking about fatherhood, and I've heard it said that traditionally women probably spend a little bit more time thinking about becoming a mother than perhaps we do as men, thinking about becoming a father. Did you know when you wanted to be a dad? Take it away.
For me, it depends on where I was in life.
Yeah.
As a little younger, married, the only thing I had on my mind was getting married, setting up a household, and the natural thing was just to have children.
Yeah.
I always thought, I want to have a family, but to really sit down and say, how many children would we like to have? No. But a little later in life, when I had the opportunity to marry again and start a family, it was a bit of a surprise, frankly. But we talked about it right from the outset, and we're very, very intentional. And that's why those 2 brawny guys and my beautiful daughter are here today.
That's right. And Todd, for our listeners who don't know you, you have an incredible testimony that I hope one day we get to share with them, so they can know a little bit more about you and the road that you have traveled, which is encouraging. It's scary to look back on and think, how in the world did you get through all that? But it's an inspiration to me.
Thank you.
I'm glad you're here. How about you, Patrick?
Well, most will know that I married a planner. She had it down to the detail, every minute detail. And so when we decided to get married, and then she finished training, we got married that June, and I came into training in August. Yes, she outranks me, and she always will. We got through that first year of training, and then the second year, she knew what she wanted, and being the husband that I am, I wanted to make sure she was happy too. And so we were blessed with our son, Philip, during my second year of training. So that came, it wasn't a surprise. Most definitely was not a surprise, but our daughter was born in our next appointment. So we actually had our children young in our marriage, but it's showing its dividends. It's really been a blessing to watch them grow and mature into the adults that they are today.
Now, for the record, you do some curriculum stuff at the training college. Is that right?
I get to teach homiletics. Yes, sir.
And do you allow time in the schedule for that kind of relational activity? We can edit this out.
Absolutely.
Just checking.
Absolutely.
That's good. Hey, Josh, how about you? Did you ever dream about being a dad, or
To be honest, no, not at first. But the more and more that along in our dating relationship, we began to poke and prod at the question how many kids you want and different things. And I told her, I said, initially I wanted 5 kids. And she kind of looked at me. She said, what, you want an NBA all-star lineup going on over here? And I'm like, yeah, no. But then got married in 2009 at Camp Tomahawk. Great camp. Sad to see it be gone. But, comes with the territory and is what it is. But she goes off to World Youth Convention over in England. I think that's where they had that thing at. And she comes back. I leave for Colorado, and I sit down on the couch, and she just hands me some photo. Our first boy, and I'm like, huh? It was like that shock
Scary.
of, just wasn't in that present moment, wasn't thinking or hadn't thought about children. But man, our oldest just turned 13 this past Wednesday. So finally got a teenager in the house, and kind of like you guys, Patrick, had them young, and they're a blessing, man. I can't complain.
It's hard to believe that you have a teenager.
Yeah.
Man. Well, for me, it wasn't in the cards. We wanted to have kids. I dreamed about being a dad, but I was not granted the gift of children of my own. But we've opened our home up to so many young people. So I'm hoping that one of them one day remembers all the good that my wife and I tried to do for them, and maybe they'll bless us when we get old and need help or something. Yeah. Did you dream about it when your wives told you, honey, we're pregnant? What happens in your brain? What do you think about? What do you dream about?
We already knew that a boy was in the cards because I'm one of 3 sons. And on my mom's side of the family, that's all there was sons until my daughter was born. And so she's the first in 2 generations, which is interesting in itself.
Awesome.
But being told you're going to be a father, we're going to be parents, definitely rocked my world. I'm not necessarily an emotional guy at times, but that was definitely early in my adulthood where I realized this is going to change everything, and for the good. For the good. Never saw it as, I'm losing a privilege, or I'm losing this opportunity for fun, or it's always been, this is a responsibility I've been blessed with, and I cannot wait to step into it.
That's awesome.
Patrick made mention of like early on, and I kind of did too, and just the idea of being a father, like not having that father figure for so long, but having different father figures from Corps officers and different people from within the community where I grew up. They were that guiding example a little bit of what a father's supposed to be. So I began to think about like all the sporting events that I get to be a part of.
Nice.
Because it's different. Like when you're the kid that's playing and you turn and you look up into the stands and you don't see that father there, but then now like I get to be that for my son. And so he recently took up wrestling, which was my first love, and this past season, man, he rocked it. I was like, all right, cool, we can work with something.
Wow.
So, it's been a blessing. That change that you spoke of, being for the good, I can say I'm blessed because I don't think that I would be where I am today if it was not for me having children.
Yeah.
My attitude was a terrible one. Like he's changed a lot of the way in which I think and perceive and go at life now today because of having children. So it makes a difference.
Hey, Josh, I want to encourage you too, man, for breaking a generational curse there. For you to know that this son of mine is going to have a father, or this child of mine is going to have a father. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Keep it coming, brother.
Yeah.
How about you, Todd? What did you dream about when you heard we're pregnant?
Well, I really looked forward to being a dad and being a father again later in life. It was just absolutely, because it was so exciting, because it was absolutely the most, it's a holy vocation.
Wow.
A responsibility that I hold dear. And, we went through all the planning and went through the classes and made all the preparations, made sure the room was just right for the incoming boys,
Right.
and then ultimately my daughter. But I'll have to confess to you that after all the preparations, and all the visits, when we went to the hospital and they put your newborn baby in that tightly wrapped blanket and they say, we'll meet you at the front door, it was almost like I had this adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
you're going to let me take this baby home?
Wow.
And so it was kind of like one of those moments. But then, some of those, I think, instincts of fatherhood instincts kicked in, and what a wonderful opportunity to be a dad.
Yeah. Now, Patrick told us that his wife's a planner, so he didn't really have to think too much about it. But Josh or Todd, how do those discussions go when you really decide we're going to have a baby, we're going to make this happen?
So we've always been the proponent of it. We're not planning it. This is a part of God's plan.
Yeah.
And if it's a part of his plan for our life, then so be it, and we're going to run with it. I think the other reason why we were in that mentality in that stage is because we were told prior to going to training not to have children, focus on training, this, that, the third. And again, at that moment, it kind of had me, thinking like, who are you to tell me when to have children? Like, this isn't a dictatorship. Like, this is us. Like, we said I do to each other type deal. And so in that moment, we kind of gave each other that look of like, we're in agreement on this, but like, it's going to be a part of his timing whenever that happens.
Sure. I think ideally they're just trying to make sure you have time for everything they're going to throw at you for 2 years. But, in God's time, everything will work together for good, I'm sure. And it has, of course.
Most definitely.
It's awesome. And Josh, I know you already said this at the top, but you and your wife are effectively going to be parents to hundreds of children every summer in your new responsibility as a divisional youth leader.
Yeah.
So, man, props to you, sir.
Yeah.
All right, Todd, how's that conversation go?
Well, when Bethany and I met, I was a little older, so I'm somewhere around 48, a little older in life to be considering a family.
Mm-hmm.
So one of those early questions was, what do you think about a family? And my thoughts at this point in life was, well, maybe someday I'll join a blended family and bounce grandchildren off my knee.
Right.
But that wasn't God's will for us.
Mm-hmm.
And so we knew we wanted a family, and we were married for a little over a year, and we decided to get started and start planning our family. And, we had the first boy, and I thought, this is it doesn't get any better than this.
Mm.
And then about 18 months later, here comes my second boy. I said, man, it doesn't get any better than this. But there was something missing. That daughter of mine that I grew up in a household of 3 boys, ended up with, 3 sons. I wanted that daughter to kind of round it all out. And just a couple of years later, God blessed us with a beautiful redheaded daughter.
That's beautiful. And she is beautiful. I cannot even fathom that pressure of walking out the door, the safety of the hospital gone. But I applaud each of you. I'm so excited to hear more of these stories about being a dad. And we want to encourage our listeners to come back right here at Words of Life.